whenever you're ready.
All right, I'm ready. Good morning, boys and girls. I hope everyone had a nice spring break, and I hope everyone's ready to talk about our topic today of sexuality in regards to media literacy. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to project this word onto the board, and I want everyone to tell me what this word means to them, just by a show of hands. Raise your hand and give me an explanation of what sex means to you. Anybody at all? Go ahead.
Like our gender, like what sex.
Okay. Sam?
I was gonna say the same thing.
All right. Does it get your attention? Does this word, when you see it, does it pop out and get your attention? Right?
Yes.
It's pretty good, right? Not to mention that it's in red. Okay. Now, it's human nature to take this word sex and think about it as something that's really serious, because it is serious. It's used for procreation. It affects us in our everyday lives. So we know that, and the good thing about that is, or good or bad thing about it is, advertisers know that as well. So they know that sex, when people see sex, they're like, oh, it's serious. It affects all of us. Oh, come on now. Come on.
Oh,
I don't know if I went too far. No, I didn't. Okay. So in the marketing world, we all know that sex sells. So if you have a product that, it could be any product at all, it could be bubble gum. But if you make an advertisement that is sexy, then people will say, oh, look, maybe I need to chew some more bubble gum, and the opposite sex might like me a little bit more. So just to think about that. What exactly does that mean, though? What exactly does that mean that sex sells? Can anyone have any ideas? Because we've all heard it, but what does that mean? Anybody want to talk today?
It's like an attention grabber.
Okay.
Gets people like, ooh.
Right? But when it says sells, does that mean, does it sell? Does it grab your attention to sell you something? Or what is that? Do you pay for sex? Like, what does that mean?
Advertisements use sex to sell their products.
Very good, Molly. Thank you. Come on now. Yes. Another truth is that sex has multiple meanings. So when we define sexuality, we're not just talking about the act of sexuality. We're talking about the emotional things that come with sexuality. We're talking about the biological terms of sexuality. We're talking about the spiritual terms of sexuality. A lot of different things can come into play when we talk about sex. There we go. Now, biological. That's a term that we think about sexuality. Not everybody thinks about it in biological terms. Can anyone tell me an example of a biological term for sexuality? Like anything biological that works with sexuality. Hormones, pheromones, anything at all.
Sex is used to reproduce.
There you go. That's a big one. That's a big form of biological terms of sexuality. This is a term like nobody really talks about the biological terms of sexuality when it comes in regards to the media. They're going to talk about the emotional and the physical, but biological doesn't really come out because it's not sexy, it's not racy, it's not going to sell you something. Come on. There we go. Spiritual. Now, the spiritual definition of sexuality can differ for a lot of different people. It's personal opinion, but for me, it's more of a bond between two individuals that's so strong. That's what a spiritual term for sexuality is. Does anyone else like to share their opinion regarding spirituality and sexuality? Anyone who hasn't spoken today? Anything at all? No? Okay. Now, basically from what I wanted to do from this word search is to get you to realize that the two words that I put on there, biological and spiritual, are not what the media uses to try to get you to buy things. They are things that are very important, just as important as the other factors that go into sexuality, but they're not thrown at you the same way that they are, because they're not exactly the best way to sell things, because people think about these and they're like, oh, you know, a life partner and all that, biological terms, you know, they're not going to talk about testosterone trying to get you to buy, you know, a t-shirt. It's just not going to work. That's why I just want you to know that there are other things out there that the media doesn't always portray to you that are very important in terms of sexuality as well. So I'm going to pass out these task sheets, and I'm going to give everybody an ad, and I would like them to go with the sticker that's on your task sheet, group up with the people who have a similar sticker, same sticker. And once you get in your groups, I'm going to give you an ad, and I want you to go through the task sheet and answer questions regarding that.
Green.
Since you're green, here's your ad.
Sweet.
Green?
Yeah.
Blue. No.
Purple, here's your ad. Here you go.
Is it gasoline?
Not beer.
What are you?
I'm green.
What did I do?
Wow, that's sexy.
You buy it, right?
One thing, listen up please. One thing I would like everyone to think about when they look at this is, what's the underlying message that they're trying to sell you in these ads? Not exactly, you know, what is the ad for, but what is the message they're trying to send with the ads? So go ahead.
What's being sold? Is that beer? Burp.
Bottle beverages.
Just gotta go there. Who's the target?
Yeah.
Who's the target?
I would say
Young white adults.
Yeah.
Who's the target? Young males?
It's like when that happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Males.
Like when
That happens in money. I'm like, not
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
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 they don't want to be embarrassed.
I gave you guys the good one. Ooh, let me see.
What underlying message
Trying
are
to target audience. What do you guys
Probably
think about
is that
that?
obvious or
Like teens
subliminal?
or
Right? About how old those kids are?
So
Teens to young adults?
Which one?
Trying to
Yeah.
call attention.
Yeah.
Yes. Sexual attention.
Can you guys see what this is an ad for? You kind of are a little blurry.
Yeah.
Budweiser, those are bottle caps.
Or bottle.
Do you guys think there's a subliminal message in this one? I think there's a big one, but this one's sort of no words, just Budweiser and a good looking female.
you'll get real close to that.
Great. Or, yeah, a dime a beer. Agree or disagree?
Pretty obvious message. It's an obvious or subliminal.
Like fit people.
Is there a subliminal one though? There's an obvious one, which is, you know, these jeans will make you sexy, but is there any subliminal message behind that at all? In regards to the type
Agree
of
or
woman you
disagree
get?
with this message?
Oh, like
Maybe.
It's really hot women.
Yeah.
Sexy underwear.
that's true.
I don't know.
There's nothing to do with
So-
actual beer.
Attract.
Obviously, but yeah.
Good looking.
Which adds my judgment.
Physical. Like he's on
Is in this message?
I think they're cute.
I don't really. Yes. You can wear great pants.
And these
but-
two seconds,
They're not good
Do the same ad, just
I don't think pants are gonna get
different.
person.
Your face
Like it's the
is
same
glowing.
ad campaign, just different ads themselves.
Okay.
So like,
But one's like the male, one's the female version of the same ad.
we got. Because
I feel like it would hurt to lay on that many buttons.
Yeah, like, nailed it. One nail.
Yes.
Good observation.
Genes don't make a person. It is true though, if someone dresses well, it can up their
Oh, definitely.
attractiveness. But I feel like a human sexuality is being affected emotional, physical, spiritual, biological.
You have to drink that many beers in order to get a woman that good looking, or something like that. That one too, Matt. I like that. That'll work.
This, a positive and negative portrayal of sexuality. That's it.
Probably negative, yeah, because it's insane.
Because it's looking at a person's like
Very,
it's all about the physical.
How's everyone doing? What question is everyone usually on right now? 6? Okay.
What message? That's not the message, it's a message.
She's very sexually suggested.
Trimmy's beard gets big.
Like you can't really get much more sexually suggested. She's like not wearing clothes, her legs are spread apart.
Like, he's not
Her mouth is near his crotch.
She's there with
Who has
this.
the power to
I don't know, like if I walked into a room and I saw this happening,
Yeah,
I'd be
it's
like,
actually kind of
wow, there must be some good genes. Is one person eroticized and the other? Yes, some of them.
Yes, good.
Yes.
What is the message you receive about this relationship?
That's a good question. Nothing about it from what you had. So,
I kind of feel like that would, it's kind of demoralizing.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just thinking. Definitely, yeah.
The man has
Okay, I'll write
come
that.
get this
So a
bottle
man
of
has
Budweiser,
power.
all these bottle caps. But does that give her the power in the situation, or is the man in power because of the situation she's in? Because of she's seeing a bunch of bottles.
She's like the Robin in power.
It could sort of go both ways.
Yeah, and they don't even show
Woman
him,
has
like,
the
he
power
could care
to
less.
man.
Yes.
But the man has the power to.
Oh.
Is this a positive or
Get the
negative?
woman to set, I mean, that just
It
covers
turns
up.
out
You're
to
not
be
going to
negative.
get fizzled like.
I wanna go
thinking
negative.
If that's what you think, write it down. I sort of agree with
But-
your first one,
Maybe
but
it's
there
like-
it definitely is a little bit of both.
I think it's also like important to like laying down, it's like waiting.
It doesn't have to do
Everybody almost done? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
We
Okay,
are done.
great. I'd like to give everyone a little bit of time to go look at everyone else's ad and just see sort of the stuff that they were looking at, because I don't know if everyone saw everyone else's ad. Give yourself 30 seconds to go look and,
Should we, leave our papers?
yeah, leave your papers. You're going to present your papers in a little bit.
Careful.
Oh, what's that?
What is that?
Jeez, they all are.
Just a list.
Yeah, this is crazy.
That's a gas commercial?
Who is this?
Is it a brand? Can't
Yeah.
see the guy.
That's the plan.
Hers isn't as bad. I mean, it's this is good. That's
Okay, when you're done, you can go back to your seats. So I just want to point out that, historically, in terms of sexual media ads, women have been portrayed as the sex objects in them, historically. But we've seen recently that more men have become sexual objects in ads, sort of like that Calvin Klein ad, so more and more young men are becoming sexual objects in media ads, but it's still definitely predominantly women who are exposed in ads like this. So, can the group, let's see who's first before I do that. Come on.
Don't.
Power. We did discuss power. That was a pretty good time to discuss power, just now that I said that. A little off. So, power. There was a question regarding power on your sheets. Can anyone really tell me what power has to do with sex and media? Any at all that has to do with, even your ads?
If the ad shows you that, like, you're the one in power, like, for all this, it's like the man, like, you kind of want to be in power, I think. It's a...
Okay, yeah, so if you are the gender that is being, powerful in the situation, it's sort of easier to go about than the gender that's not.
Yeah, gonna want to buy the products more.
Yeah, okay. Anybody else? Power is a sort of funny one in terms of media because they're very subtle in the sense that they don't go right out. Some of them do really go right out and say, men have the power in this situation, women have the power in this situation, but a lot of the ads you see subtle little tidbits of who has power in certain situations and who doesn't. Like this one, we were talking about this ad for a while, which we'll get into after they can explain that to you. Okay, so whoever had the Calvin Klein ad can come up here and explain their task sheet and go over it with the rest of the class.
Alright, the product being sold, Calvin Klein jeans. Underwear, sorry about that. Target audience that we thought was probably teens, high school, college people.
We said both genders, they're both white, they're probably middle to high class. We also noticed that they're very fit and in shape people.
We thought the message was wearing Calvin Klein underwear kind of like makes you look sexy. Or can like send that message. That's what we thought.
We disagreed with the message, just because you can kind of advertise underwear probably in a different way than having your legs open. We thought it was a physical aspect of sexuality. What else? We thought it was cool though, like there was a man, was a woman, it wasn't just the woman, it wasn't just a man being advertised, even though they're two different ads.
Now I have a question regarding that. There definitely are a man and a woman who are doing the ads, but is one racier or sexier than the other?
I mean,
Positions are pretty
They both
equal,
have-
I feel like.
like the same
There's-
position.
So there's
Go ahead,
the
Kate.
same message.
I feel like the way like the man is like looking and like how he's kind of sitting up more, he looks more powerful, whereas like the girl's like kind of like laying all over the place, like with her hand on her face, like kind of like
Okay, so we can see
puffing
even
herself up.
in the same ads, basically, subtle little tidbits of power can be brought out by just positioning, by a look on a face, by your hand being by your face, or by, laying down, arching your back versus sitting up. Little things like that do really play a role in the way ads come off. Anything else you guys would like to say? If not, next group. Good job, give a round of applause.
Calvin Klein jeans.
Okay, so whoever had this jeans ad. I need it clear.
Alright, so the product that's being sold by Gasoline is jeans. And we thought the target audience was young white adults, middle to high class. And I think we kind of came to the conclusion that like the underlying message was that if you wear the jeans, you'll get a lot of sexual attention, especially by like attracting really good looking women. And it's pretty obvious. And we disagreed, because jeans don't make a person, you know, and it's all physical.
We thought it was a negative portrayal of sexuality just because it's like she's so sexually suggestive. So then the next one, like the woman is clearly like the one more eroticized in this. Like the man has the power. Yeah.
Woman's like, you know, pulling out his pants.
We also thought like it's really demoralizing to the woman because she's like her legs are spread apart, her mouth is like near his crotch, and like she's pulling
off
down his pants, and she's not wearing like anything.
Now, in terms of the man in the picture, we can't see what he looks like. Do you think that gives any sort of, difference to the ad if we could see if this was a good-looking man or a bad-looking man, or does that not matter?
I think it could be like, that could be you, like for a guy looking at that,
Exactly.
so.
So in this situation, another ad that's directed towards men because, you see this beautiful woman who's obviously entranced by these gasoline jeans, and a man who, you can't really see what he is, you see his forearm, that's about it. That's coming off as any man, if you wear these jeans, can get a beautiful woman like that to fall to your knees, and that's just simply not the way things work. So I just want to see that, let everyone know that there are subtleties to all these ads, and there's a reason why everything is done in these ads. Okay, great job. Budweiser's typically known to do racy, sort of either humorous or racy ads, especially directed towards men.
So this is honestly advertising beer. We said it was, I guess, geared towards men at any age that they would be drinking beer, whatever that may be. And the message was that by buying this beer, you get this beautiful woman too, who's laying down waiting for you, I guess you could say.
Yeah, we disagreed with this, and we were saying that it was mainly the physical aspect of sexuality. And we were saying it was a negative portrayal because she's just looks, the position that she's in is just really submissive and like, I don't know, just laying there. I feel like with the power thing, it kind of put all the power, I felt it put all the power in the man's hand.
Okay, I definitely agree with you somehow, but me and Caitlin had a really nice conversation about does it really give the power to the man, or is she the one in power in this situation? Because the man's sort of like, oh my God, I need to, run and go get a Budweiser so I can get women like that.
I feel like the woman, because she's so beautiful, like uses her physical sexual appeal to attract men, which kind of gives her the power in this situation. So like, just by her like laying there naked, like can get a guy to just buy beer.
So it's not always clear cut.
Yeah.
There can be ads like this one where the power isn't necessarily in one specific gender's hands. It could go both ways, and it's a good job of an ad by Budweiser, but it sort of doesn't necessarily, it's not as clear cut as some of the other ones. It's a great job. So, just to finish off, why do we think that women are often more sexualized in ads than men? Because, as we know, women are now the main consumers of most things in this country, whereas a man used to be the main consumer, but women have definitely, it's teen women who buy the most and spend the most money out of any, age group out there. So why do you think women are still so sexualized in ads? Anybody at all?
Well, I think like society wants women to like live up to these type of standards, I guess. Like you like trying to make women or young girls to like strive to be like that attractive woman that like gets the man, I guess. In like some situations. I don't know.
Anybody else?
I feel like, kind of like going off what she said, like if there was a man laying like that, like in most cases, like a man wouldn't look at that and be like, oh, I want to have beer. But like where like that like could attract guys because they want her, but also girls who want to be like her.
Yeah.
Good point. Now, like I said before, young men have becoming more sexualized than ads as well. And can anyone try to fathom why that's happening now, rather than before, as they were never really sexualized in ads ever before the mid to late 90s? Matt?
Because just what you were saying, that women are becoming more, like, they're starting to spend more and more.
So they sort of have the power with spending their money, and people in media realize this, and they say, we have to appeal to young women out there, and a good appeal is a young, good-looking man. Are there any patterns with these images that, from ad to ad that we found, other than the fact that they were all negative? We all definitely distinguished that. They all had a negative sort of facade about them. But anything else, any other patterns that we saw?
Really physical, like attractions. Didn't really focus on any of the spiritual or biological parts of
Like we said
sexuality.
before. Anybody else? Okay. Do any of these ads break that pattern at all? A little bit. Even when it comes to, like the one we said with the power struggle, did that break a pattern that we saw in the ads? Because every other ad was sort of like, really straight on who was your target audience, what you're trying to do. Whereas this one, that's why I kept this one up here. It's a little more. You have to dig a little deeper when it comes to who really has the power in it. So that's why I really want us to take out of this that when we read into ads, when we talk about media literacy, everything is there for a reason. Every subtlety, every little bit of information is specifically planned to be there for a reason. So don't just look at something and take one thing away. Try to look at it a little bit more and really get what they're trying to sell. And basically tomorrow we will be working on a lot more of this and a little more sexuality.